Your father lied to you, not with words, with weakness. He told you to be kind, to play fair, to wait your turn and good things would come. And you believed him because he was your father, because you trusted that his guidance would prepare you for the world. But it didn't. It crippled you. Every lesson he taught, every value he drilled into you, every moment he told you to be the bigger person, it was all a manual for losing. Not because he wanted you to fail, because he never learned how to win. He raised you in his image, and his image was submission dressed up as virtue. You're walking through life with his operating system, apologizing when you shouldn't, avoiding conflict when you need it, seeking approval from people who don't deserve your attention. And you wonder why nothing changes, why people don't respect you, why opportunities slip through your hands while others, less moral, less kind, less good, take everything. It's because you're playing a game he never taught you, a game where power matters more than principle, where psychology beats morality, where the ruthless inherit what the gentle surrender. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming conscious, about seeing the truth your father was too weak to face, that survival requires more than goodness. It requires control, boundary enforcement, the willingness to be feared when necessary, and the courage to reject the weakness he handed you like it was wisdom, because it wasn't wisdom. It was his surrender, and you don't have to carry it anymore. Your father taught you to be polite, to wait your turn, to never raise your voice, never push back, never make anyone uncomfortable. He called it respect, but respect isn't what you learned. You learned submission. You learned to shrink yourself so others could expand. You learned that your boundaries meant less than someone else's approval. And now you wonder why people walk over you. It's because he trained you to lie down. Every time he told you to be the bigger person, he was teaching you to lose with dignity. Survival doesn't care about dignity. He raised you in a world that no longer exists, a world where kindness was currency, where playing by the rules guaranteed safety. But that world was always a lie. It was a system designed to keep weak men obedient. Your father believed in fairness because he never had the power to demand otherwise. He taught you morality because he was too afraid to teach you psychology. And psychology is the language of control. When you understand human behavior, you stop being its victim. You stop waiting for fairness and start engineering outcomes. But he never showed you that. You were conditioned to avoid conflict at all costs, to apologize even when you weren't wrong, to swallow disrespect and call it maturity. That's not maturity. That's fear dressed up as virtue. Your father feared confrontation because he never learned to wield it. So he convinced you that aggression was wrong, that dominance was toxic, that wanting power made you a bad person. But power isn't good or evil. It's a tool. And the people who fear it always end up controlled by those who don't. He handed you weakness and called it wisdom. I've seen men in their 30s still seeking permission to exist, still checking if their opinion is acceptable, still terrified of being disliked. They move through life like ghosts, never touching anything real because they were taught that impact equals danger. Their fathers raised them to be harmless, and harmless men don't survive. They get used, they get replaced. They watch as ruthless people take what they were too polite to claim. Read The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Not for manipulation, for understanding. Because the game is already being played. Your father just never told you the rules. The weakness he passed down wasn't intentional. He was a product of his own conditioning. His father probably did the same to him. But intention doesn't matter. Consequence does. You're walking through a world that rewards strength, clarity, and boundary enforcement. And you're doing it with the psychological tools of a man who surrendered before the fight began. Every time you hesitate, every time you dim your intensity to make others comfortable, you're repeating his pattern. And that pattern doesn't lead to respect. It leads to invisibility. But there's another way, one your father never had the stomach to show you. Your father preached morality like it was sacred. He told you to always do the right thing, to treat people with kindness, to never lie, never cheat, never take advantage. He made it sound noble, but it wasn't nobility. It was survival strategy for a man who couldn't compete. Morality became his shield because he had no sword. He convinced himself that being good was enough because being powerful was out of reach. And he passed that delusion to you. Now you're out here playing by rules that no one else follows, wondering why you keep losing. Morality isn't universal, it's conditional. It shifts depending on who holds power. The same action that gets praised in one context gets punished in another. Your father treated morality like a fixed system because he needed to believe the world was fair. But fairness is a myth sold to people who can't enforce their will. Look at history. Look at business. Look at relationships. The people who win aren't the most moral. They're the most strategic. They understand that morality is a social tool, not a cosmic law. And when you treat it as absolute, you become predictable. Predictable people get manipulated. He taught you that being good would protect you, that if you were honest and loyal and selfless, people would respect you. But respect doesn't come from virtue. It comes from consequence. People respect you when crossing you costs them something, when your boundaries have teeth, when your presence demands consideration. Your father had none of that, so he built his identity around being harmless and hoped the world would reward him for it. It didn't, and it won't reward you either. The moment you realize morality without power is just performance, everything changes. I watched this play out in corporate environments for years. The good guys always got passed over. They worked harder, stayed later, never complained, and they got nothing. Meanwhile, the ones who understood power dynamics, who knew when to push and when to withdraw, who controlled the narrative, they rose. Not because they were immoral, because they were realistic. They didn't confuse kindness with weakness. They didn't mistake silence for strength. Read Machiavelli's The Prince, not because it's evil, because it's honest. It strips away the fantasy and shows you how power actually moves. Your father's morality was a defense mechanism, a way to rationalize his lack of dominance. He told himself he didn't want power because wanting it felt dangerous. So he chose the safe path, the path of obedience, and he trained you to walk it too. But that path doesn't lead anywhere worth going. It leads to resentment, to watching others take what you were too good to claim, to a life spent serving people who don't even see you. Morality without discernment is just another word for weakness. And if you want to break free from his programming, you need to stop treating goodness like a strategy, because the world doesn't reward good, it rewards effective. You didn't ask for his weakness, but you got it anyway. It's in your hesitation, in the way you second-guess yourself before speaking, in how you apologize for taking up space. You inherited his fear like it was genetic, and maybe it is. Not in your DNA, but in your psychology. You watched him shrink. You watched him defer. You watched him let people disrespect him and do nothing, and your nervous system recorded it all. Now you're repeating the pattern without even knowing it. That's how weakness transfers, through observation, through osmosis, through the quiet belief that this is just how life works. Breaking inheritance isn't automatic. You don't wake up one day and suddenly shed decades of conditioning. It requires a conscious decision to reject what was given to you, to look at the behaviors you absorbed and say, "This ends with me." That's not easy, because choosing ruthlessness feels like betrayal, like you're dishonoring the man who raised you. But you're not betraying him. You're refusing to drown in the same water that drowned him. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's the willingness to prioritize your survival over someone else's comfort. And if that makes you the villain in their story, so be it. Most men never make that choice. They carry their father's limitations like a life sentence. They tell themselves they're different, but their actions prove otherwise. They avoid confrontation. They seek approval from people who don't matter. They sacrifice their boundaries to keep the peace, and they call it being mature. But maturity isn't about keeping everyone comfortable. It's about knowing when to cut ties, when to say no, when to let someone else deal with the consequence of their own choices. Your father never learned that. And until you do, you're just his echo. I've seen men break this cycle. It's not pretty. It requires burning bridges they thought were necessary. It requires disappointing people who expected them to stay small. One guy I knew spent 30 years trying to please his family. Always the peacemaker. Always the one who sacrificed. Then one day he just stopped. Stopped answering every call. Stopped explaining himself. Stopped caring if they understood. And his life transformed. Not because he became heartless, because he became selective. He chose power over pity. Read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, not for softness, for sovereignty, for the understanding that you owe no one your weakness. Ruthlessness isn't about hurting people. It's about refusing to hurt yourself. It's about looking at a situation and asking, what serves me, instead of, what makes me look good? Your father never asked that question. He spent his life performing goodness while his own needs rotted. And you're doing the same thing. Every time you prioritize someone else's emotion over your own boundary, you're choosing his weakness over your strength. Every time you bite your tongue to avoid conflict, you're reinforcing the same fear he lived in. Inheritance only ends when you choose something different. And different requires ruthlessness, not as violence, as precision. Your father wanted to be loved. He needed it. He shaped his entire life around being liked, being accepted, being seen as good. And it destroyed him, because the need for love is a leash. It keeps you obedient. It keeps you small. The moment you need someone's approval, you hand them control. They don't even have to ask for it. You give it freely, hoping they'll reward you with affection, but they won't. They'll use you, and when you're no longer useful, they'll discard you. Love without fear is just permission to be exploited. Being feared doesn't mean being hated. It means being respected. It means people think twice before crossing you. They consider the consequence. They know you're not someone who tolerates disrespect, who absorbs insults, who lets things slide. Fear creates boundaries that love never will. Love says, please don't hurt me. Fear says, if you try, you'll regret it. Your father never understood that. He thought kindness would protect him, that if he was gentle enough, patient enough, giving enough, people would treat him well. But people don't respect gentleness. They exploit it. And they did, right in front of you. The courage to be feared is rare. Most men would rather be harmless than powerful, because power comes with responsibility, with isolation, with the knowledge that not everyone will like you, and you have to be okay with that. Your father wasn't okay with that. He needed everyone's approval, so he never set a real boundary, never enforced a real consequence. He let people walk over him and called it forgiveness. But forgiveness without justice is just cowardice. It's letting someone hurt you and pretending it's virtue. Strength doesn't forgive weakness, it eliminates it. I've worked in environments where the nice guy always lost. There was one manager everyone loved, friendly, approachable, never got angry. And his team didn't respect him. They missed deadlines. They ignored his requests. They knew he wouldn't do anything. Then a new manager came in, cold, direct, enforced consequences immediately. People hated him, but they respected him. They showed up on time. They delivered. Because fear creates structure, love creates chaos. If you want to lead your own life, you need to stop chasing affection and start commanding respect. Read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Not for warfare, for strategy, for the understanding that power is about perception and perception is about control. Your father's need to be loved cost him everything. His time, his energy, his dignity. He gave pieces of himself to people who never valued him, hoping they'd love him back. And they didn't. They just took more. You're doing the same thing. Every time you dim your intensity to make someone comfortable, you're choosing love over fear. Every time you let disrespect slide to keep the peace, you're repeating his mistake. But peace isn't the goal. Power is. And power doesn't come from being loved. It comes from being someone others can't afford to cross. That shift requires courage. The kind your father never had. But you're not him. Not unless you choose to be. Your father couldn't control himself. He was ruled by emotion, by reaction, by the constant need to respond to everything around him. Someone criticized him, he internalized it. Someone disrespected him, he swallowed it. Someone pushed, he moved. He lived in a state of emotional servitude, always at the mercy of external forces. And he taught you to do the same. He taught you that feelings were facts. That if you felt hurt, you were hurt. That if you felt disrespected, you were disrespected. But feelings aren't facts. They're signals. And when you can't control the signal, you become its prisoner. Power starts internally. Not with what you do to others, but with what you refuse to let others do to you. It's the ability to sit in discomfort without reacting, to hear criticism without crumbling, to face rejection without chasing validation. Your father never mastered that. His ego was fragile. His emotions were volatile. He needed constant reassurance that he was okay, that he was good, that he mattered. And that need made him weak. Because the moment you need something from the outside world, you lose autonomy. You become dependent. And dependence is the opposite of power. Control isn't suppression. It's not about pretending you don't feel. It's about choosing which emotions get access to your behavior. Your father felt everything and acted on most of it. He was impulsive, reactive, predictable, and predictable people get manipulated. When someone knows exactly how you'll respond, they can engineer the outcome they want. They press the right buttons and you dance. But when you control yourself, when you choose your responses instead of defaulting to them, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is dominance. It forces others to adjust to you instead of the other way around. I've seen men lose everything because they couldn't control their emotions. One bad conversation and they explode. One perceived slight and they burn bridges. They operate from ego, not strategy. Meanwhile, the ones who rise are the ones who stay cold, who take the insult, process it, and respond when it serves them. Not immediately, not emotionally, strategically. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about being selective with your emotional investment. Read Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Not to kill your ego, to domesticate it, to turn it from a wild animal into a trained weapon. Your father's lack of self-control bled into every area of his life, his relationships, his career, his mental state. He was always at the mercy of circumstance because he never learned to master himself. And you're walking the same path. Every time you react without thinking, every time you let someone's words dictate your mood, every time you chase validation instead of building self-sufficiency, you're proving you haven't learned what he never taught. But self-control can be learned. It's a skill, a practice, and it's the foundation of everything else, because you can't control others if you can't control yourself. That's where real power begins. Not in dominating the world, in dominating your own mind first. Your father avoided conflict like it was poison. He'd rather stay quiet than speak up, rather let things fester than address them directly. He treated confrontation as failure, as proof that something went wrong. So he taught you to do the same, to keep your head down, to swallow your frustration, to smile and nod even when you wanted to push back. And now conflict terrifies you, not because you can't handle it, because you were trained to see it as dangerous. Your father's softness wasn't kindness, it was cowardice. And it infected you. Conflict isn't the enemy, avoidance is. When you refuse to confront, you let problems grow. You let people disrespect you repeatedly. You let resentment build until it poisons everything. Your father thought he was keeping the peace, but there was no peace, just suppressed anger and unspoken boundaries. He never learned that conflict is how you establish respect. It's how you show people where the line is. Without it, there is no line. There's just a vague hope that others will treat you well out of goodness, and they won't. People respect boundaries that are enforced, not suggested. Fear of conflict makes you controllable. When someone knows you'll back down to avoid tension, they can push you indefinitely. They can take more and more because you'll never stop them. Your father lived like that, always yielding, always compromising, always choosing short-term comfort over long-term respect. And it cost him everything. His dignity, his authority, his ability to command his own life. He became a passenger, and passengers don't choose the destination. They just go wherever the driver takes them. You're doing the same thing every time you bite your tongue to keep someone comfortable. I've watched men transform the moment they stopped fearing confrontation. One guy spent years getting walked over at work, never spoke up in meetings, never challenged bad decisions. Then, one day, he did. He disagreed publicly, firmly, without apology, and everything shifted. People started listening, started considering his input, not because he was suddenly smarter, because he was suddenly willing to create friction. Conflict is a signal. It says, I exist, I have boundaries, cross them and there's consequence. Read No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Not to become an asshole, to stop being a doormat, to understand that niceness without spine is just fear in disguise. Your father's softness taught you that safety comes from invisibility, from never making waves, from being so agreeable that no one could possibly have a problem with you. But that's not safety. That's erasure. You're not protecting yourself. You're deleting yourself. And the world doesn't reward that. It ignores it. Conflict is where you prove you exist, where you draw the line between what's acceptable and what's not. Your father never drew that line, so people walked over him until there was nothing left. But you don't have to repeat that. You can learn what he refused to. That conflict isn't something to fear. It's something to wield. And once you stop running from it, you stop being its victim. Your father never had autonomy. He lived according to someone else's script. His parents' expectations, his spouse's demands, his boss's orders, society's rules. He outsourced his entire identity to external validation. And he taught you to do the same, to check with others before making decisions, to seek permission before taking action, to make sure everyone approved before you moved. That's not living, that's performing. And performance requires an audience. The moment you need an audience to feel legitimate, you've surrendered your freedom. Autonomy isn't just independence, it's the refusal to need anyone's approval to exist. Most men think they're autonomous, but they're not. They're just following a different master. They traded their parents' control for their partners, their boss's authority for their peer group's judgment. They're still checking boxes, still seeking validation, still terrified of disapproval. Real autonomy means you operate from your own internal compass. You decide what matters. You set your own standards. You choose your battles based on what serves your survival, not what makes you look good. Your father couldn't do that. He needed consensus. He needed reassurance. He needed someone to tell him he was making the right choice. And that need kept him trapped. Autonomy requires isolation, not physical isolation, psychological isolation, the ability to stand alone without crumbling, to make a decision that everyone disagrees with and still sleep at night. Your father couldn't tolerate that. He needed to belong. He needed to be part of the group, even if the group was heading off a cliff. So he followed. And he taught you that belonging was more important than being right. But belonging is a trap. It keeps you compliant. It keeps you weak. The moment you prioritize connection over correctness, you lose the ability to think clearly. You start making decisions based on emotion, not logic. And emotion makes you manipulable. I've seen what happens to men who never develop autonomy. They hit 40 and realize they've been living someone else's life. They chose careers they didn't want, stayed in relationships that drained them, built identities that felt hollow, and by the time they wake up, it's too late. Too much invested, too much to lose. So they keep performing, keep pretending, keep waiting for permission that never comes. But you don't have to wait. You can choose autonomy now. Start with small decisions. Stop explaining yourself. Stop seeking consensus. Make a choice and own it. Read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Not for the philosophy, for the archetype, for the model of a man who operates outside approval. Your father's lack of autonomy made him fragile. Every external shift threatened his identity. Every criticism felt like an attack. Every disagreement felt like rejection, because he had no core, no internal structure. He was a mirror, reflecting whatever the room needed him to be. And mirrors break easily. Autonomy is resilience. It's the understanding that you don't need the world to agree with you. You just need to be clear on what you stand for. Your father never figured that out. He spent his life adapting, compromising, shrinking, and it killed something in him, something essential. But you're not him. You can build what he couldn't, a self that exists independent of external validation, a self that survives even when the world turns against it. That's where freedom lives, in the refusal to need anything from anyone. Your father believed relationships were about love, about connection, about mutual respect and genuine care. He treated them like sacred bonds that transcended power dynamics. But he was wrong. Every relationship is a power structure. Someone leads, someone follows, someone sets the terms, someone accepts them. Your father never wanted to see that. He wanted to believe in equality, in fairness, in the idea that good intentions were enough. But intentions don't matter. Behavior does. And behavior always reveals who holds power. He pretended not to see it. So he never controlled it. And the people around him did. Social power isn't optional. You either understand it or you're ruled by it. Your father thought if he ignored power dynamics, they'd go away. They didn't. They just operated without his awareness. People manipulated him, used him, positioned themselves above him while he smiled and nodded. He called it being humble. But humility without awareness is just blindness. You need to see the game being played. Who's testing you? Who's positioning? Who's extracting value without giving any back? Your father never tracked that. He gave freely and expected nothing. And he got nothing. Because people don't respect generosity without boundaries. They see it as weakness, as opportunity. Relationships are transactions, not in a cold, heartless way, in a realistic way. You give something, you get something. The exchange doesn't have to be equal every moment, but over time, it has to balance, or someone's being exploited. Your father was always the one being exploited. He gave time, energy, emotion, resources, and got crumbs in return. He told himself it was love. That real love didn't keep score. But not keeping score just means you lose track of how much you're losing. Smart people track. They notice patterns. They see when someone only shows up when they need something, when someone's presence is conditional on what you provide. Your father never noticed, or he noticed and ignored it. I've watched this dynamic destroy men. One friend stayed in a relationship where he funded everything, paid rent, paid bills, covered her debt. She contributed nothing, and he told himself it was love, that he was being supportive, but she wasn't building with him. She was extracting from him, and the moment he stopped providing, she left. No explanation, just gone. Because it was never about connection, it was about utility. Look at your own relationships. Who's always asking? Who's always taking? Who disappears when you have nothing to offer? Those aren't relationships, they're arrangements. And if you don't see them clearly, you'll keep getting used. Read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi. Not to hate women, to understand sexual dynamics without fantasy, to see relationships as they are, not as you wish they were. Your father's romanticism cost him everything. He believed people were inherently good, that loyalty mattered, that if you treated someone well, they'd do the same. But loyalty is conditional, goodness is situational, and people will take as much as you allow. He allowed everything, never set terms, never withdrew access, never made anyone earn his time or energy. He was just there, available, predictable, and predictable people get used until there's nothing left. You don't have to be cruel, you just have to be realistic. See relationships for what they are, power exchanges. And in every exchange, someone's winning. If you don't know who's winning, it's not you. But once you see the game, you can play it. And playing doesn't mean losing yourself. It means refusing to be the one who always loses. You can't just flip a switch and become ruthless. That's the trap most men fall into. They read about power, about control, about dominance, and they overcorrect. They go from doormat to tyrant overnight. They start treating everyone like an enemy. They burn bridges they'll need later. They confuse cruelty with strength. And they end up isolated, not powerful. Your father's weakness doesn't justify reckless aggression. It justifies calculated precision. You need to apply these principles strategically, not emotionally. Because emotion is what got him destroyed, and emotion will destroy you too if you let it drive. Start with observation. Watch how people respond to boundaries. Test small ones first. Say no to something minor. See if they respect it or push back. Your father never tested anyone. He assumed everyone had good intentions, but intentions don't matter. Response does. When you set a boundary and someone violates it, that's data. That's information about who they are and what they'll take if you let them. Most people will push until they hit resistance. If you never provide resistance, they'll push forever. So you observe. You note the patterns. You identify who respects limits and who doesn't. And you adjust your investment accordingly. Give less to those who take more. It's not cruelty. It's resource management. Control yourself before you try to control situations. This is where most men fail. They try to manipulate others while they're still reactive, still emotional, still desperate for validation. You can't play power games from a position of need. You have to build internal stability first. That means developing self-sufficiency, financial independence, emotional regulation, physical discipline. Your father had none of these. He was dependent on approval, on income he didn't control, on habits that weakened him. So when pressure came, he collapsed. Build yourself into someone who can walk away from anything, from any job, any relationship, any situation. When you can walk away, you stop being controllable. Apply ruthlessness to your own habits first. Cut the behaviors that drain you, the people who extract without giving back, the commitments you made out of guilt, the routines that keep you weak. Your father never pruned his life. He let everything grow wild. Relationships that didn't serve him, jobs that didn't respect him, patterns that kept him stuck. And he wondered why nothing changed. Because he wouldn't cut. He wouldn't eliminate. He treated every connection like it was sacred. But not everything deserves to stay. Some things need to die so you can grow. Start identifying what's holding you back. Then remove it. Without explanation, without apology. Just remove it and see what happens. Read Essentialism by Machiavelli. Not for minimalism, for strategic elimination. For understanding that saying no to the wrong things is how you say yes to the right ones. The final trap is thinking this makes you a villain. It doesn't. Your father's morality was performative. Yours needs to be functional. You're not becoming evil. You're becoming effective. You're learning to operate in reality instead of fantasy. To see people clearly instead of through the lens of what you wish they were. To enforce boundaries without guilt. To pursue power without shame. This isn't about hurting anyone. It's about refusing to keep hurting yourself. Your father spent his life sacrificing for people who never sacrificed back. And he died with nothing. No respect, no legacy, just the memory of a man who was too soft to survive. You don't have to honor that. You honor him by becoming what he couldn't. Strong enough to protect yourself, clear enough to see manipulation, ruthless enough to cut what doesn't serve you. That's not betrayal. That's evolution. You now see what your father couldn't, that weakness is inherited, but strength is chosen. That morality without power is just performance. That the world doesn't reward the kind. It rewards the clear, the disciplined, the ones who refuse to be controlled. Your father gave you a framework for losing, and you've been using it your entire life. But frameworks can be replaced. Programming can be overwritten. The question is whether you have the stomach to do it, whether you're willing to walk away from his legacy and build your own. This isn't theory. This is survival. Every day you spend operating from his weakness, you lose. You give ground. You let people position themselves above you. You sacrifice boundaries to keep peace that was never real, and it compounds. The longer you wait, the deeper the pattern becomes. Until one day you're 40, 50, 60, and you realize you became him. Same fear, same helplessness, same quiet desperation disguised as decency. That's the consequence of inaction. Not dramatic, just slow erosion until there's nothing left. But you're here, which means something in you refused to accept it. Something recognized the lie. Now you act on it. You take what was just given to you and apply it. You observe. You test boundaries. You cut what doesn't serve you. You build autonomy. You stop fearing conflict and start wielding it. You become someone people think twice about crossing. Not through violence, through precision, through the cold understanding that your life belongs to you, and anyone who doesn't respect that loses access. Before you do anything else, watch the previous video. Family was the first trap. Now you rule alone. Because if you don't understand how the conditioning started, you'll keep repeating it. That video shows you the origin, the structure, the system that trained you to serve everyone but yourself. You need to see it, not later, now. Because every hour you spend blind to the mechanism is another hour it controls you. Stop reading, go watch it, then come back and finish what you started. Now, write this in the comments. I reject his weakness. Not as a phrase, as a declaration, as proof to yourself that you're done performing his script. Type it, own it, let it mark the moment you chose different. Strength isn't given, it's taken, and you just learned how.